And he's like, Mom, they would not accept my help. So it's like the women are going, don't come in the kitchen.
Welcome back to Nuha Sal. So we're here with another episode. This episode is continuing on with our last interview. Make sure you check that out. It should be above there. Click on. Anyway, if you haven't watched it yet. So this interview is still with Panakia, and this is actually about, we started asking her questions about how does she get her kids to connect with their culture and their background and so on, as they're half, some of them are half African, half Australian.
Half Australian,
and also some are full African. The reason why we asked these questions was because we've seen things in America where some Americans do not like to be called African, for example. They have a really bad disconnect. So we thought it was really important that we ask those questions for, you know, mixed couples and other Africans living overseas. So make sure you drop her a subscribe as well and check out her channel, because she's fantastic. She does a lot of lifestyle blogs and things like that. For more of information about her vlog, please watch the last episode. And I hope you enjoy this one. Okay, so stay tuned because there's more episodes to come.
This is part 2 of the interview.
Yes, this is part 2 of the interview.
Part 2 of the interview. And
we're talking about kids, guys.
Kids here. They need to connect to their tradition, their culture.
Exactly.
You know, both culture though, both. You know, both.
Yeah, and I think these questions needed to be asked.
Definitely.
So, all right, stay tuned. Thanks, guys.
So this is basically to do with this. How do you help your kids identify to your culture and heritage? So it's basically what we answered anyway.
Well, just carrying on. I suppose just carrying on from that previous question, I'm really trying to get them to be around my people, to be around the South Sudanese people. Unfortunately, they can't be around their father's side because I'm not in communication with him. So that's very limited. But with my Sudanese background, I'm really getting the boys to be surrounded by my cousins, by my brothers, by my uncles, to make sure that they understand the role of men. But I don't want them to be too rigid and strict like the way I was raised. Like girls were not equals to guys. So now, like, for example, when my boy just went to the refugee camp, he can't go in the kitchen. It's forbidden. He can't go and fetch his own water, can't serve himself food. Everything has to be served to him. So I had a chat to him last night, and I said to him, look, mate, you're coming back home, so you might as well just not forget the rules here. You and your sister and me, we are all equal. So always remember to offer help to your aunties. And he's like, Mom, they would not accept my help. So anyway, it's like the women are going, don't come in the kitchen.
That's crazy. It's so different.
It's so different. It's very, very different.
And it's so good to learn. I think it's very good to learn.
It's very good to learn. I think from your perspective, you won't understand it now. You have seen Africa on TV, but when I take you there and then come back, you see it's very different. So you will learn. You will see it. It's very different.
Crazy. Oh my gosh. All right, because I've heard from some people where they've had their kids here in Australia and they're African descent kind of thing, and their kid prefers to hang out with the white Australians, which is really sad, and won't hang out with the Africans.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which I think is really bad, because I wouldn't want that.
It's true.
I wouldn't want my kids to be like that.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want them to go, okay, nah, I'm not hanging out. So that's fantastic that
you're
making sure.
I think it's important to be mindful though when you're raising when children are born in foreign countries. and we have to appreciate where we are, the I suppose the country that we've migrated to, as much as appreciating where we come from, because the thing is their foundations and everything about their life will be based in Australia. So if you're getting them to hang out with strictly African kids only, that becomes a problem later on in life, because I think it's so much harder to try and integrate and assimilate into the community if you're only hanging out with your own type. And I think that can lead to a lot of other issues, like I think they call it political identity or whatnot, where you're trying to find somewhere where you belong. So what I do with my kids, I have no problem with who they hang out with, as long as they're good kids. I don't care, Chinese, Indian, Australian, blacks, as long as they're decent kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. Because I think when people focus so much, I know that I've got some older aunties, older than me, where they're trying to focus so much on keeping their kids with the Sudanese kids, but then they all run in trouble, and they become like a little gang in a way, like little group where they have a lot in common, but then they don't have a lot in common with the rest of society. And when that happens, you have a problem, because there's a barrier there, and then you can't say, how come I'm not accepted, because you're not trying. So I think it's so important for all African parents or people that have mixed race children to really try and integrate their children from both perspectives, so they're not missing out on one side and gaining a lot from the other.
I agree. I think that's important.
Yeah, it's important. It's very important.
To make sure they mix both sides.
Yeah. Let them feel comfortable with other races outside too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was just so surprised when this kid didn't want to hang out.
Oh yeah, we met a family here. So she said her daughter don't like hanging around with black people. So we have barbecues, like community barbecues that she never come to.
So it was quite interesting, because it's like, I feel like that's an identity. Because she would hang out with.
You know what I think that is? I think it's also, again, complex, because I remember when I came here, I was about 11 turning 12. Based on what I was told, I don't know how old I am, but if my age is right, I would have been 11 turning 12. And what happened initially, there was a tendency from me where I didn't really want to associate with black kids a lot, because they were always, I suppose, stereotyped. So I didn't want to get in trouble. So I tried to avoid hanging out with Sudanese kids, because I wanted to make sure, because I wanted to have a successful life, and I didn't want to get in trouble, and I didn't want to be labeled as those black kids. So I tried really hard in boarding school to be leaning towards my whiter friends than my black friends, until later on, when I got a bit older, I realized it was important to have both, because literally, like, you cannot make it in Australia just hanging out with black friends, and you cannot make it in the black community just hanging out with whites, because then you become an outcast from the black community perspective. Like, there was a time when I used to model, I was never around black people, and they started giving me names, like calling me trying to be a Mzungu, or trying to be a white girl, and like she's a black girl living in a white girl living in a black girl's body. Like, I got that a lot throughout my high school. So there's a lot of issues that we face. And I'm talking when I was a teenager. So for kids, for mothers that are watching this, my only thing that I'll say to you guys is just make sure that you are very open-minded to everything. Make sure that you expose your children to both sides of the world, because in the end, we are all human. And it's sad that some kids, I know some young girls that actually do not want to hang out with other dark girls, because they're like, all the black girls do is just drink and mess around with men, and they don't do much. They're not high achievers. That's the mentality. And because they might, my opinion, when she came and spoke to me at this conference, I said, honey, it's not the same. It's not like that. You got the whole thing wrong. You need to sit down and have a proper talk with your mom. It's not that black girls are doing this. There's bad in every society. So if you happen to pick the worst group, you're gonna meet them because they're drinking, having fun. But then I had lots of Aussie friends that all they do is back-to-back drinking. Like, they were literally binge drinkers, and they're Australians, and they get in trouble, but it doesn't get, you know what I mean? So it's important to always just emphasize to the children, you know what, there's nothing wrong with your type. There's a lot, and always focus on a lot of successful stories and share the story with the kid. So then they don't feel like, oh my God, there's no successful black people, or there's not, you know what I mean? Because
It's very important. Yeah, it's very important. Yeah.
So the next question is, how do your kids feel about Africa? Do they struggle with the concept of being African? Are they feel comfortable?
I'm gonna be really quick. They did struggle, but not anymore, because they're there. They're living there. So
yeah.
Oh, right.
It's much easier. It's much easier, because originally it was really hard, because the Africa that they knew was the Africa from the TV, like all the World Vision kids starving, like all people living in mud houses. But now they get it. It's not actually what is being portrayed. So because they're living there and they actually get to experience a good part of Africa, and they're not so great. So all their perspectives have changed.
And I think that's, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
keep going.
No, you're right. I mean, I don't know if all parents would be comfortable to do that, to be away from their kids. But if I could get a job in Africa, I probably would move there and make sure that my kids get their main education there, because the very strict school system that is crazy. Like my son, who would be in year 7 now, the workload that he's doing is actually being done in year 10 in Australian standard, but he's actually in year 7 in Africa. So you can imagine by the time he gets to like year 9, that would be equivalent to year 12 in Australia. And it's no joke. Like when they do science, they break everything down. Like the stuff that my son knows, I never touch on in school here. It's
Exactly.
Oh,
amazing.
'cause
Exactly.
Australia.
Yeah.
Our school system
Australian
is actually
system
not
is
that great.
no.
We've like crashed and
Yeah.
burned. So
Yeah.
actually, that is true. I think because we're probably the American system, and the American system is.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, no.
Coming from a guy who has spent almost 12 years. So our system, I don't know whether it's different from Sudan, because we have nursery school. Nursery school that you basically go for 3 years to 4 years, so it depends. And we go from primary school, we go primary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 6, and we go to junior school. And junior school we do 3 years, so it's 6. You have 7, 8, and 9, and from 9, and then we go to the senior secondary school, and we do 10, 11, and 12. So it's like basically 12 years of going to school.
Wow.
And then an extra like 13, 14, 15 years going to school, So yeah.
But I do think it's so important that using our YouTube channels to kind of tell people that Africa isn't what you think.
Yeah, isn't. I keep telling you all the time, like I keep telling you.
Because my mom is freaked.
Yeah.
They're going to Africa.
Sally, you got to show this to your mom. Tell your mom she should have sent you to school in Africa. Joking.
She'll be horrified.
Yeah, she'll be horrified. Yeah.
She'll be horrified when she watches this and sees that sees Noah say, "Oh, yeah, we'll send our kids to Africa." She'll be horrified.
It'd be the best decision you've ever made.
Sending my kids to Africa, definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said it would be the best decision you've ever made if you were to send your kids to Africa.
Yeah.
As long as you guys have made enough money and can afford to do, because I think it's important that you have a little bit of cash, and otherwise it's the best experience ever.
Because I think we would love to live there for a bit.
Yeah.
So
also wanna leave out
just to
there.
give our kids that experience eventually, I think would be important. I think.
It's true.
But anyway, let's get going and let me see.
Hey guys, we hope you liked that episode. More things to come. So next episode is about racism, also about the African gangs that you've seen in the media, and just questions about that as our as Pan-African, I always said
Pan-African.
I was Pan-Africa, guys. I'm thinking Africa.
Hey, I hope she saw this in a Pan-African. Oh, that's a nice name though, Pan-African.
Yeah, I think she put. Didn't she say that was kind of where her name came from?
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think that's what she said. But she's
so
trying to make it
Pan-African. I like
trendy
that
kind of
name,
thing.
Yeah.
So make sure you subscribe to her as well, but also just be ready because next episode, because Pan-African is South Sudanese.
Yeah.
So she's going to give us her perspective on those African gang stuff in the media and so on, and we're going to talk about how we can kind of stop that happening. To some of the kids that are joining that. Not saying that they're all are. But anyway, make sure you stay tuned and get ready because I believe that will come out on Sunday. So
Sunday.
So see you guys there. Tell us if you love it or hate it. Bye.
Peace out.
Peace.